I've cracked myself up. I still haven't found my first Blanton's. That's different. I really like that. They're like together, like peas and carrots. That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Pechauds or Pechaw. This is not what I expected. Howdy do, howdy do. It's Monday. Yeah, I know. It's a different night. We normally do this on Thursdays, but for the foreseeable future, we're going to switch to Mondays. Got some things coming up on Thursday nights, and I need to be able to be available for those, so we're moving to Monday for just a little while, I think. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll stick to it. Happy Father's Day. Yesterday, Father's Day, and I was the recipient of some great Father's Day hijinks. My daughter made me fresh cinnamon rolls from scratch. No mixes, no nothing, everything from scratch. And they are delicious. She's gonna put cinnamon out of business. And then my son knows me. He got me a couple new whiskey ball molds. These though, when they're done, they're gonna look like the Death Star. So it's got all the little ridges and stuff in there, and it's going to be very, very cool. I'm looking forward to giving these a shot for the very first time. Death Star ice spheres. Don't know if they'll be clear spheres, but that's okay. They're still going to be cool. All right. So that sets the stage. Now, let's talk about this one. This is Baker's. This is the small batch 7-year. This is one that, well, they don't make it anymore. So this was a little hard to open, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish the job. There it is. They don't make this anymore. I only have one other bottle of this, but they stopped making this in, I think, 2019. We'll get into that here in a minute. Anyhow, so if you know anything about the Jim Beam family, you know that they have a very large family tree. It breaks out into dozens of branches. I was about to really go crazy with it. It's just dozens of branches, and each one of the people that have been involved in the distillery at some point has been honored in some way with a bourbon that thanks them for their service, so to speak. Well, Baker Beam was born with bourbon in his blood, and raised on the grounds of the Jim Beam Distillery during high school. He was a night watchman. He was occasionally a janitor for the place and worked his way up to becoming Jim Beam's distiller. He wasn't a guy that enjoyed the spotlight a whole lot. More comfortable with a wrench and a flashlight, doing whatever it took to keep the bourbon flowing. So when he retired after 38 years on the job, knew every inch of that distillery like the back of his hand. While Baker became irreplaceable at Jim Beam, his cousin, Booker No, was hard at work in Boston, Kentucky, on a top secret project. A clandestine project, the small batch collection. And this is just one of them in that collection. One of the first super premium bourbons that Booker would make in this collection, Baker's, was for his favorite cousin. This is 77% corn, so I'm anticipating some sweetness to it, 13% rye. Also kind of in the mid-level of rye, so it could be a little on the spicy side. 10% malted barley. This is aged at least 7 years. Now, this was a craft bourbon. Baker's was a small batch bourbon of around 200 barrels blended together before becoming a single barrel project in 2019. This is one of 4 bourbons that comprise the small batch collection from Beam. Basil Hayden's, Knob Creek, and Booker's bourbon are the other 3. This one kind of is not at the bottom of the proof range. It's in there. This one is 107 proof. Aged 7 years. A lot of 7 in this one. So, yeah. All right. That's really about all I have on this one. At the end of 2019, everything changed as Baker's was no longer small batch. It was no longer going to be consistent with those 200 barrels blended together. It was now going to be a single barrel, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. All right, here we go. Okay, so the cinnamon's popped right out, right away. And I've got a little bit of a sinus thing going on. I think the allergies are coming on and beating me up a little bit. I was outside all day yesterday and then inside a lot of today. I was out, oh gosh, yeah, that was yesterday. It just all kind of goes together. So my olfactories aren't working quite as well as I want them to, but boy, that cinnamon just cut right through all that. Really holding on to the glass too. Gorgeous color. Somewhere between honey and copper. Like a dark honey. Yeah, that cinnamon is really popping. It reminds me a little bit of Booker's, to be honest. The rice spice really coming through there. Really nice vanillas. It kind of hurts opening this bottle. It's not made anymore. But I will tell you that I have a little bit of disdain for this bottle too, because it has that wax crap on top. I hate that. But they don't do that anymore. So it doesn't matter if I hate it or not. The ethanol's coming through some too. Boy, that cinnamon is just popping. Little salted caramel. Yeah, that's really nice nose. Reminds me of Booker's. All right, give it a shot here. Whew. Little hot for 107. It drinks more like 115. It's up there. It drinks hot. And of course now I'm going to start getting texts and messages because people aren't used to me doing this on a Monday instead of a Thursday. Okay, so this is not quite as spicy as Booker's. Booker's to me has a lot more spice. It's a little hotter yet. Definitely one that's going to get your attention. They just came out with a new batch. I don't know a lot about it. It's named after one of the guys that works with the company or in the company or something like that. I read about it and I can't remember what the story was. I probably read about it last Thursday after the Bourbcast and I won't remember anything after that. So anyway. All right, let's do this one for flavor now. Big difference between the first dram and the second. First dram got that heat in there. All that rice spice just hit me. This one, now that I'm acclimated a little bit, it's a lot more sedate. Now it doesn't remind me of Booker's as much with the heat. And I think that this one has a little less of that rice spice than Booker's would have, but it's still really nice and really pleasant. That second dram, that second swallow, I was able to pick out some of the sweetness of the corn. 77% mash bill. That is really nice. They don't make it anymore. I get it. They got to go with whatever sells, and they got to go whatever they can be proud of. But this is pretty good. Now, if the niche is being taken by Booker's, okay, fine. Where they ended up going with Baker's as a single barrel, you can still get the single barrel, but this is gone. All right. Really nice. That salted caramel coming through. Little bit of a molasses note. Ooh, something else there. What is that? There's fruit on the finish. It's a darker fruit, maybe dates, but sweet. You know, dates I know that aren't particularly sweet unless you put them in a cake with sugar and stuff in it. But this is truly a very nice pour. This is one that I'm going to leave alone. Now that it's open and I've tasted it, I'm going to set it on the shelf back there and I'm not going to touch it because they don't make it anymore. All right. Let's see if I've missed anything. We're good. All right. That corn sweetness coming through really nicely. 10% malted barley. That's going to give you those fruit notes. It can give you some grassy notes sometimes too, but this, most of the time you're going to get those fruity notes out of the malted barley, and that's what this is doing. I got a little peach there on the finish. Just a little peach. That was nice. I have, other than like peach flavored whiskeys, I don't remember ever having a note of peach on the finish. It's kind of interesting. I might even combine the peach and the dates and call it peach pit. It's kind of what it reminds me of. All right. Well, let's just do a little bit more. Add a little water to it. I know, every time I pour it, it's that much less. The other bottle I may never open. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, for all I know, it could be worth something. Not that I'm ever going to sell anything. I didn't buy it so I could sell it. I know there are people watching going, "Oh, you actually want to drink it? What? You're a crazy man! Crazy, crazy man!" I found out today, I was reading through some of the trade magazines, there are 17 states that are controlled states. Ohio is number 4 in terms of sales. Michigan is number 1, Pennsylvania is number 2, and Pennsylvania is rapidly catching up with Michigan as far as controlled states and their volume of sales. So, party on, Pennsylvania. Fun, fun, fun. I've been starting to read the trades, and you learn a lot. Anyway. Okay, so this is with a little water on it. Probably just under 1 milliliter. It reignited some of that bloom on the back of my tongue and the back of my palate. But it was more sedate on the front. I obviously proofed it down, even though in the back of my palate, it's not, it feels something that it didn't feel before, which is interesting. But then again, that's how I taste Basil Hayden. I don't taste it on the front, I taste it in the back. So maybe this has more in common with Basil Hayden than I know. Now, Basil Hayden's only 80 proof. It's got some nice bite for 80 proof, but it saves it all for the back of the throat. There's like no flavor, nothing going on in the front. It's all in the back. That's why I'm not a big fan of Basil Hayden. I want to taste my bourbon on my palate, not in my throat. And now that I put this on water, it really is taking on a lot of the same characteristics of Basil Hayden. So let's try that again. Yeah, definitely some really nice flavors on the palate. But yeah, where it's hitting me now is in the back of the throat and on the top of the back of my palate. That's really interesting. I have never had a bourbon change its position for the bloom before. At least not that I remember. And where are we now? This is number what? 100 and what? I don't know. I'll look it up here. I'll get to that. It'll load, and this computer's slow, so it'll load here, and I'll be able to tell you. All right. Well, you know, I can't say that it really opened up the flavors a little bit. Still, now it's a little bit of apple on the finish. That corn is, that 77% corn in the mash bill is definitely bringing it some sweeter notes, and then the barley bringing it some fruitier notes, and they're kind of changing. You know, at first I was thinking like, oh, that's peach, you know, and it was unmistakable. And then this last time I got a little bit of apple and a little bit of pear. I don't know. I don't know. There's definitely fruit on it. All right. Come on. All right, it's coming up. All right. So let's do this. Bring out our ice sphere. This is number... How about if we just Oh, that makes things a lot better. All right, this is number 161. 161. Unreal. Uh-oh. Really? Look at the snowman! That's the one I wanted. That's funny. It's the snowman. All right. So get this on water, or on ice. Just a little. We don't need to go crazy. Or do we? All right. Finger. You can take the man out of radio, but you can't take the radio out of the man. And I've got this terrible, dirty thing going through my head when I put my finger in here and swish my ice sphere. You know where I'm going. Finger in my sphere. Yeah. I want to apologize to all the pygmies. How does he say that? Anyway. All right, so this is Baker's on. I tell you, I'm going to guess that it's going to fall apart. I just got this feeling. Because of the Basil Hayden thing with the water, I just have this feeling it's going to fall apart. But I hope I'm wrong. It's 107 proof. It shouldn't. Right? We'll see. Still some really nice flavor. It fell apart. But there's some flavors there. A little bit of honey. That salted caramel still hanging on. That cinnamon's still there. But as far as any real body, anything going on with it, any complexity, it just flew out the window with that ice cube. Ice sphere. Yeah. So the best way to drink this one is on ice, and it doesn't, or on neat, which doesn't matter because they don't make it anymore. It is what it is. All right, cool. Well, hey, that was short, simple, and sweet, and a little bit bittersweet actually, because you know I've only got one more of these, and I'm not going to want to drink any of them. But if somebody comes over and they want to try this one because they heard about it, all right, that's what it's here for, right? I don't think I'll get into this bottle, because if I get into this bottle neat, I'll finish this bottle. Not all at once, but I'll finish this because this is really good neat. This is very tasty neat. I look forward to giving it a shot maybe in a month after it's set, because again, Booker's for me needs to sit a little bit. This one might need to sit a little bit too, just to show me what else it's got. I don't know that it's going to give me much, because on water and ice, it just didn't do a lot. And the positioning of the bloom changed with the water, so I don't know that I'll do all that, but I think I'd have it neat again. I like it that way. All right, so next week, we're going to come back. We're going to be on Monday again next week. It's just going to work out well for a little while. And we're going to get back into Baker's, only it's going to be what they changed this one to. When they stopped making this one, they dedicated themselves to this one, and this is the single barrel. We'll talk about this next week, as well as what makes this bottle collectible. There are different bourbons doing different kitschs, you know, doing different little, gimmicks, right, to make you want to buy their product. Blanton's has their horsey tops. And Blade and Bow has their keys, all 5 keys. You collect those, and there's some other ones. This is one of those too, and we'll talk about it next week when we visit this one on Beautiful Bourbon. We'll be back on Monday at 7 o'clock, so we do encourage you to come, tell your friend about it, family, make a thing out of it. Get together, have some popcorn, share a blanket. Thank you, John Boy. You're welcome, Mrs. Walton. All right, that's it. Okay. All right. You all have a. What am I doing? You have a fantastic what's left of your week. Happy Father's Day, all fathers everywhere yesterday, and happy Juneteenth today. So we will see you next week. Thanks a lot for watching.